This is Jessie from IamSewCrazy.com, that's S-E-W crazy, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to sew a dart using only the bobbin thread. Now you might wonder why this is necessary. It's not really necessary, but it's particularly important on very sheer fabrics like the one I'm working with today. This is part of a vintage wedding dress that belonged to the bride's mother, and I am redoing it. You can see the outer layer is very, very sheer, so if you were to back tack at the point of the dart, your stitches would actually show through on the right side, and it just isn't as clean of a finish as it would be if you sewed the dart with only one thread. So when you only use one thread, the thread is actually connected, it's folded here where the fabric is folded, and that's what secures it instead of back tacking or stitching in place or knotting the threads or anything that can be a little bit problematic in a sheer fabric like this and cause a bubble at the point of the dart. We're going to avoid all of that. So to get started, remove the needle thread from your machine. You can see I just have the bobbin thread. It's coming out of the bobbin case area here. So you're going to want to pull out some slack and thread your machine along the needle path with the bobbin thread, but thread it backwards. So if you normally thread your needle from front to back, you want to thread it from back to front. And I'm using a Microtex needle for this sheer fabric, so it's going to take me a little bit of fiddling. These needles have very small eyes. There we go. This is a size 8 Microtex needle, which is another important thing to use if you're using a very sheer fabric. So now you go along the guides that you would normally put your thread through. Just do it completely in reverse order. So normally I would come through this needle take-up lever from right to left. Now I do it left to right. And once you're done, when you get all the way through your threading path, you're going to want to double check and just make sure that you have everything where it belongs. So follow the thread backwards, and then you're going to want to pull out enough slack just to sew the dart. You don't need a whole lot of thread. And you're going to just leave it hanging where your needle thread would normally be on the spool. So now double check, make sure that you're through all of your guides, make sure everything looks right, and you are ready to sew. So place the dart point first under the needle. You want to start at the point. That's the whole, forgive me, but the whole point of this process is that you're starting at the point without the need to back tack. So lower the needle directly on the fold of the fabric. There we go, and that is our first stitch. And then as you come to the pins, you're going to remove them. Just sew your dart like you normally would. And at the dart legs, you are free to back tack. This area will be hidden in a seam, so nobody will ever see that back tack. And now, you can see that the point of the dart is very neat and tidy. The thread is just folded, there's no knot, there's no back tack, there's no bubble, there's nothing there that's going to visually clutter up the point of the dart. And we're back tacked at this end. And then you will need to rethread your machine for each new dart that you sew, but I think that is a small price to pay for such a neat and tidy dart. So you just pull out the excess thread and get rid of that. The only other thing to note is that you want to make sure that you have pulled out enough thread for the thread to remain between the tension discs for the entire length of the dart. You don't want to just have a little bit of extra thread pulled out, because then the beginning of the dart will be fine, and then if it slips through the tension discs, there won't be anything holding the thread, and you'll have problems with the second half of your dart. So that is how you sew a dart using only the bobbin thread. And now you're free to press the dart and continue on with your garment as you normally would. But you can see you get very good results on a sheer fabric, delicate fabric, anything that's going to be showing for whatever reason on the right side. And I think it's my favorite way of sewing a dart. I hope it becomes yours too.